Okay, get this. We're diving into a story that sounds like, straight out of a political thriller. We're talking a country where the media can't even mention a prominent leader by name.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going down in Pakistan right now. We're going to explore the life of, well, a figure so significant, he's only known as Shaukat Khanum's son.
Shaukat Khanum's son.
Right. From cricket legend to philanthropist, now a political leader navigating, a pretty turbulent landscape. It's a story of ambition, resilience, and, well, that enduring power of hope.
Hmm.
But can he overcome these restrictions? Like, really? Can he regain his political standing?
It's incredible, right? This man's life, so tied to his mother, Shaukat Khanum, there's this prophecy about her son making her name known, like worldwide.
Seriously.
And as we'll see, it's pretty accurate.
Okay, hold on. Let's unpack this prophecy. It sounds kind of mythical, right?
Yeah, it does. Imagine, like, a young boy, barely a teenager, with his destiny, foretold. It's a huge part of Pakistani culture. These pronouncements, they carry serious weight. And this one, well, it became this driving force, shaping him, pushing him towards greatness.
So how did this play out in his early life?
Well, it started with cricket. Capped in Pakistan to a World Cup victory in '92, becoming a national hero. This triumph, it was like, boom, instant fame, setting the stage for him to fulfill the prophecy.
Talk about exceeding expectations. Then, fueled by that, he establishes the Shaukat Khanum Memorial Cancer Hospital.
Exactly. And with that, he cements his mother's name in the hearts of the Pakistani people. The hospital, it provides free cancer treatment to like a large percentage of his patients. It's a symbol of hope, compassion, all of that.
It's amazing he used his fame for such a lasting impact on healthcare in Pakistan. But there's more. He jumps into politics, founding the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, or PTI party.
And there he goes from hero to, well, controversial figure, challenging the entire system.
Right.
His party. All about justice, transparency, equality. These principles resonated with millions of Pakistanis wanting change. It propelled him to, you guessed it, prime minister.
And that's where things get, really interesting. It's wild to think that someone reaching the highest office now faces these extreme restrictions. To get it, you gotta know, the media can't even say his name. You have to call him, guess what?
Shaukat Khanum's son.
Yep. Almost like the prophecy is playing out in a way no one, predicted. So what led to this silencing?
Well, his time as prime minister, it was marked by clashes with powerful institutions. You see, he made enemies, challenging corruption, pushing for a more independent foreign policy.
So stepping on some toes, huh?
Big time. The backlash was swift, severe. Opponents accused him of mismanagement, economic instability, and, well, he was ousted from power, a vote of no confidence last year. But there's more to the story.
What happened after?
That's when the restrictions really hit. His opponents, now in control, they wanted to silence him, limit his influence, so they banned his name, his image from the media, everything.
Wow, seriously. What's the logic behind something that drastic?
They say, national security, preventing unrest, all that. Critics argue he's inciting violence, undermining the government. But his supporters, they see it as, silencing dissent, crushing opposition. It's created a massive political divide in Pakistan. Tensions are high.
So what's the political climate like over there? Are his supporters getting silenced too?
Oh, yeah. There's a crackdown on PTI, his party, and its supporters. Many close aides are detained, in hiding, you name it. They're hit with legal cases, corruption charges to, get this, sedition. Raises serious concerns about freedom of speech, rule of law, the whole deal.
Speaking of challenges, how's his party doing under this pressure? Any chance in future elections?
That's a tough one. Some analysts say PTI's chances are, well, not good. It's hard to campaign when your leader is, invisible and members are being targeted.
Right.
They think fear will keep people from voting, making it near impossible to win.
But his supporters haven't given up, right? What are they saying about PTI's future?
His supporters are, well, they're fiercely loyal. They see these restrictions as a sign of his strength, the threat he poses to the current establishment. They believe, despite everything, PTI's message of change, anti-corruption, it still resonates with the people.
So you have analysts saying it's bleak, supporters holding on to hope. That's a fascinating tension.
Oh, it is. And get this. He's not sitting back passively. He's making moves, bold ones, to try and regain power.
Like what? What's he doing to counter these restrictions?
Biggest move, dissolving the assemblies in two provinces where his party had the majority, Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, hoping to trigger new elections, give PTI a chance to, get back in control. but roadblocks.
Roadblocks. What's stopping new elections?
Well, the Election Commission in Pakistan, they're refusing to hold elections in those provinces, citing security, the need to update voter rolls, all that. This has led to a legal fight in the courts, and it's getting messy.
So even his attempt to force elections is hitting legal and bureaucratic hurdles. Some political chess match, huh?
It is. Every move he makes countered, creating this intricate dance of power and strategy. The big question, can he overcome all this and find a way back to, political prominence?
This is where it gets really interesting for me, and I'm curious about your take on this. If someone of his stature reaching the highest office faces these restrictions, what does that say about, the average citizen's ability to exercise their political rights? Is this just one man's struggle, or is it bigger, a systemic issue in Pakistan?
It's a huge question, and one I think every listener should think about as we, dig deeper. What we've seen suggests that even in democracy, power can be used to silence dissent and control the narrative.
It does paint a concerning picture of, democracy in Pakistan, and it makes his story all the more captivating because it's not just about his ambitions, it's about that larger struggle for freedom and representation in the country.
Yeah, it really makes you think what happens when, the very foundation of democracy is under threat.
Absolutely. It's a big question that goes way beyond just this one man's fate. His struggles become a lens to examine, the bigger challenges facing democracy in Pakistan.
It's true. If someone like him can be silenced, what does that mean for, ordinary citizens who speak up? It's a scary thought.
It really is. And it makes his story even more important, right? Because it's not just about politics anymore, it's about basic human rights.
Exactly. This deep dive shows us the high stakes. It's about freedom of speech, the right to disagree, holding those in power accountable.
Okay, so we know the climate in Pakistan is, well, tense. But what about the specifics of these restrictions against him? What exactly can't the media say or do?
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
It's not just his name. They can't show his picture, play his speeches, or even mention his political party.
Wow, that's extreme. It's like they're trying to, erase him completely from public view.
Yeah, it's classic censorship. Control the narrative, limit his influence.
But how effective can censorship really be in the age of social media? People are still talking about him online, right?
True. Social media has become vital for his supporters to connect and share info. But even online, it's tough. The government's been cracking down, blocking websites, taking down posts that criticize them.
So even online, freedom of speech is, well, limited. It seems like they're trying to control the narrative everywhere.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to understand these tactics. It's not just silencing him. It's creating fear, making people afraid to speak their minds.
It brings us back to his supporters. How are they dealing with all this? Can they even organize under this pressure?
They're resilient, I'll give them that. They're getting creative to get around their restrictions. They use symbols, certain colors, or phrases to show their support without actually saying his name.
That's interesting. It's like a secret language for their support.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these acts of defiance are powerful. They show that even with censorship, the desire for change can't be silenced.
It's like a testament to hope, and the human spirit. So despite the challenges, his supporters are active. What about his political strategy? What's he going to do next?
Well, his lawyers are fighting that election commission decision to postpone the elections in those two provinces.
Right.
They're arguing it's unconstitutional, denying people their right to vote.
Right.
The case is going through the courts now, and the outcome will definitely shake things up politically.
So this legal battle over the elections, that's the turning point.
It is. It's a test for the courts. Can they be independent? Will they uphold the law? If they rule in his favor, it could clear the path for his return.
But if they rule against him...
Big setback for him and his party.
Yeah.
It means the current establishment is in firm control and probably won't give that up easily.
So yeah, the stakes are high. The future of democracy in Pakistan is, well, kind of hanging in the balance.
Yeah, and that's why this deep dive is so important for our listeners. We're not just watching some political drama. We're seeing a key moment in Pakistan's history.
And what should our listeners take away from this? What insights can we get from this, complex situation?
Well, for me, it's a wake-up call. Democracy is fragile. We have to be vigilant, defend its principles. It's also a reminder that power can be used to silence people and twist the truth.
And maybe the biggest takeaway is the courage and resilience of those fighting for what's right, even when it seems impossible.
Absolutely. This deep dive, it's a call to action for all of us, to think critically about the challenges to democracy, not just in Pakistan, but globally.
And it reminds us that we all have a part to play, right? defending those democratic values, supporting those who are fighting for a better, more just world.
Exactly. This fight for democracy, it never ends. And this story, it's not over. The question remains, can he overcome all of this and, return to the forefront of Pakistani politics?
That's the question on everyone's mind, and we'll keep exploring it as we, dive deeper into his political strategies and what might happen with this legal battle over the elections. It's like watching, I don't know, some kind of high-stakes political drama. But it's real, and what gets me is how his story, it goes beyond just Pakistan.
Well, yeah, for sure. It makes you think about power, what censorship really means, and, well, the whole fight for democracy, especially when it's under threat like we're seeing now.
That's it. Right. So let's talk about him, the man himself. We've talked about his, achievements, the challenges, all the political stuff. But who is he really? What makes him tick?
I think at his core, he's a leader, charismatic, connects with people. He was this cricket star, brought so much pride to the country. And that's carried over into politics.
So he's not just a politician, he's like a symbol for many Pakistanis.
Exactly. He's a break from the old ways, a promise of something better. And that's what makes those in power, nervous. He's an alternative, a challenge to how things are.
And his vision, it all comes back to those values, justice, transparency, equality. We've talked about that.
Right. His message, it resonates with people who feel left out, who want a fairer system. And that's why his supporters are so dedicated. They see him as like their champion, someone who actually speaks for them.
His story, it's not finished, that's for sure. It's still being written, and everyone's watching, both in Pakistan and globally. But as we wrap up, what are the key things our listeners should take away?
Well, first, stay informed. Don't just believe the headlines. Dig deeper. Find different perspectives. Challenge what you're told.
That's what we try to do here, right?
Mhm.
Provide context, encourage people to think critically.
Exactly. And second, remember that democracy, it's precious, but it's fragile. We can't be complacent. We have to participate, defend it.
And what about hope? What role does that play in all this?
Hope is essential. Even when things look bleak, remember that change is possible, that everyday people can make a difference. His story, no matter how it ends, shows us the power of hope, how resilient we can be when facing tough times.
So as our listeners think about the future of this story, what's the one question they should keep in mind?
The big question, can he, silenced but not forgotten, overcome all this and fulfill that, prophecy we talked about? Or will those trying to silence him win? And what will that mean for Pakistan?
It's a tough question, no easy answers, but it's one that'll definitely shape Pakistan's future. And as we've seen in this deep dive, it's a story with lessons for all of us about power, about democracy, and about the human spirit always striving for justice and equality.